Okay, let's read today's text first. It's Exodus 34, 28 to 30. Okay, shall we read text together? Can you show the text, please? Okay, let's read that together. So he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights, bread nor drink. And the Lord wrote on the tablet of the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. Then okay, well, today's passage is about Moses' face shining after he spent 40 days and 40 nights with the Lord for the second time. And I will unfold my message in terms of two themes. And first theme is grace. Okay, grace is an essential attribute of God, and it can also fully revealed in Jesus Christ. So, the more we know Jesus Christ, the more clearly we see God's grace. So let's first read what Jesus said. Okay, it is Matthew 23:23. Okay, let's read 1 to 3. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint and dill and cumin of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. Ought to have done. Okay, many people understand this passage to mean you have to do both. First, you have to do religious practice such as tithing, and also you have to live by justice, mercy, and faithfulness. But Jesus actually demanding more than this. Okay, ordinary Israelites, they tithe grains and crops. But Pharisees, they went much further. They even tithe tiny garden herbs like mint and cumin. So, when Jesus said you should do both, that means you should live by justice, mercy, and faithfulness. But also at the same time, you have to do religious practice. But not just religious practice, you should do religious practice meticulously, thoroughly. So for example, let's say we receive a box of fruit as a gift. Okay, do we tithe on that box of fruit? What Jesus said was, well, we should live by mercy, justice, and faithfulness. But at the same time, we should tithe on that box of fruit also. So actually, what Jesus said, what Jesus demands are much more than we imagine. So this is the meaning of this passage. But can you show the Matthew 23 and 23 again? The text again? Okay. So I will read it again. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you tithe mint and dill and cumin. You have neglected the weightier matters of law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. So Jesus said you have neglected weightier matters of the law. And weightier matters is justice, mercy, and faithfulness, which means, well, we think the law as just do's and don'ts, right? But what Jesus said, there is more important thing than just do's and don'ts in the law. And what is more important in the law is justice and mercy and faithfulness. And well, do you really think that the law really emphasizes on justice and mercy and the faithfulness? Well, out of these three, I will focus only on mercy today. And I will interchangeably use mercy and grace because when you read the Bible, these two terms comes together. And also, God showing mercy on us is actually grace, right? So I will use two terms interchangeably. Anyway, what Jesus said is, the law is not just do's and don'ts. Well, it actually emphasizes on mercy or grace. Well, of course, we can see mercy in the law. For example, the Sabbath year or the year of Jubilee. At that time, the poor have their debts forgiven, and their lands and their houses. They get their lands and their houses back, right? So the law actually talks about the mercy, and there are some comments such as, you should leave the cleanings for the poor. So when you look at those comments, of course you see like mercy and grace. But God's mercy and grace can appear. I mean, we can see God's mercy even more places. So I will talk about that today. So let's first look at Aaron. I will leave you the Exodus narratives. So after Exodus, 3 months after Exodus, Israelites arrived at Mount Sinai. And if you look at Exodus 24, Moses spent 40 days and 40 nights with God. And from Exodus 25, God gave detailed instruction about the tabernacles, how to build the tabernacles. It goes up to, from Exodus chapter 25, it goes up to Exodus chapter 31. And in Exodus 28, God said to Moses to appoint Aaron as the high priest. And why God said to Moses to appoint Aaron as the high priest? Below the mountain, as you know, the Aaron make the golden calf, right? So it is really how can I say? Without grace, it is really hard to understand. Well, God, of course, God knew that Aaron would make a golden calf, right? He would be the leader of the rebellion. But still, on top of the mountain, while Aaron is making the golden calf, on top of the mountain, God said to Moses, "You should appoint Aaron as the high priest." So that's a grace, right? And think about what happened because of golden calf. About like 3,000 people died, and Levites, they had to kill their neighbors, brothers, and friends. And then what happened is, after about 7 to 8 months later, it becomes in the next year. And on the first day of the first month of the next year, the tabernacle was established. Now, tabernacle was made. And at that time, there was an ordination ceremony. So the Aaron and their sons were ordained as a priests. So it's been only 7 to 8 months, and Moses and other people ordained Aaron and their sons as priests. So since it's been only 7 to 8 months, everybody remembers what Aaron did, right? Aaron made a golden calf, and because of him, many people died. But still, God ordained Aaron as the high priest. So again, without grace, I think it cannot be explained. And what this story means is the law is this is the story of when the law is given. So that means the law is based on grace. Okay? That's what this reveals. And I believe that Aaron's weakness enable him to perform the role of high priest very well. Because one of the essential qualification of high priest is to sympathize with others, right, with sinners. And because of his weakness, Aaron exactly knew what failure looked like, and he could be able to sympathize with them and understand them and minister to them, right? Okay, that's about the story of Aaron. And as you can see, if you look at the story of Aaron, you can see that the grace is the base of the law. Okay, let's come back to our main passage, main text. Okay, as we read, it's about the Moses' face shining. In Exodus 32, there, as I said, there is a golden calf instance. And because of that, when Moses saw the golden calf, he broke the first set of the first set of stone tablets, right? So in Exodus 34, Moses received the second set of stone tablets. And at the time, Moses spent 40 days again with God. And when he came down, his face shined. His face shone. So my question is this: where he spent 2 times, 40 days with God at the first time, and 40 days with God the second time. And when he spent the 40 days with God first time, his face didn't shine, right? But only when he spent the second time with God 40 days, his face shines. So what is the difference between the first and second? That's my question. Why his face shines only after the second 40 days? So what happened during the first 40 days? I cannot read all the scriptures, but if you read the scriptures, as I said, from chapter 27 to 31, God gave the detailed instruction about how to build tabernacles, about the priesthood, about the sacrificial systems. So that's what happened during the first 40 days. So Moses received all these instructions during the first 40 days. For the second 40 days, scriptures actually talks very little about this. What happened during the second 40 days is described in Exodus 34. And there are two instances stands out. Okay, let's first read Exodus 34:6. Shall we read together? 1, 2, 3. The Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abound in steadfast love and faithfulness. Translation is different, right? Okay. Anyway, so God shows us the character. He proclaimed this character. So during the 40 days, during the second 40 days, first things that stand out is God proclaimed His character. His character is grace and merciful, and slow to anger, and abound in steadfast love. So that's the first thing. And second thing is, let's read Exodus 34:10. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and okay, shall we read Exodus 34:27 also? Then the Lord said to Moses, I'm sorry that I cannot read the far, so please understand me. Anyway, if you read Exodus 10, Exodus 34:10 and 27, basically God renewed the covenant. The story about verse 10 to verse 27 is renewing the covenant. And this renewal is not grounded on the Israelites' faithfulness. It is grounded on God's grace. So basically, what did Moses experience for the second 40 days? There were two things Moses experienced. First one is he experienced the proclamation of God's character, which is gracious character, right? And second thing is he experienced the renewal of the covenant, and that renewal is based on the grace, not their faithfulness, right? So, coming back to the original question, so why Moses' face shines only after the second 40 days? So what happened to the second 40 days? So second 40 days, basically, Moses experienced grace, and that's why his face shines. Okay, that's my answer for that. And grace changes person's face to shine. Okay, now let's talk about Moses' experience of grace further. Let's read Exodus 33, 18 through 19. Okay, and he said, "Please show me your glory." Then he said, "I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of to whom I will be gracious, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion." So here Moses asked to show God's glory, and God's answer is a little strange. He did not show his glory. Instead, he said that I will make all my goodness pass. And then he basically promised that I will. His answer is not showing glory. His answer is promise to show his goodness, his grace, and his mercy. So here, let's think a little bit about the glory. So what is glory? Glory is not just dazzling light. Okay, what glory is when God, who is a spirit, when God enters the world, His characters, His natures is revealed. It is manifested, and that His nature or character revealed in this world is His glory. So His glory can be like dazzling light. His glory can be like power. But in this case, His glory is all His goodness, right? Let's read the Exodus 34, 6 to 7 again. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And the Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, merciful and gracious. Yeah. Well, Moses asked God's glory, and God promised He will show His all goodness, right? And then when it comes to Exodus 34, He proclaimed His gracious character. So His proclamation of gracious character is actually fulfillment of His promise. God said that I will show all my goodness, right? So. Moses has glory, and it is revealed through his gracious character. Here I talked about the glory, and let's look at further about the glory of grace, glory and grace. Okay, let's read Ephesians 1:6. Okay, 1, 2, 3. To the praise of the glory of His grace, by which. Okay, here Paul said. Glory of His grace, and glory and grace, it doesn't seem match each other, right? But Paul said glory of grace, and if you remember, the meaning of glory is just a manifestation of God's nature in this world. Then you can understand this phrase, glory of grace. So greatest manifestation of God's character is gracious and grace, right? So that's why Paul uses glory of grace. Okay, I'm talking about the grace, and I wish, and I said that the basis of the law is grace, and I will talk about that more through Galatians. Okay, let's read Galatians 3:19. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. What purpose is the law? Okay, Paul asked here, what purpose then the law? So Paul basically asked why law exists, right? And he answered by himself. He said it is because it was added because of transgression. Okay, so that's his answer. I will see 2 points here. First one is law was added because of transgression. Well, we sinners commit sins, but we have no awareness of what we are doing. We sin, but we don't have aware that we are actually sinning. We did something bad, right? We did something bad. So God gave us law so that we can see what we do. We do actually committing sins. That's a bad thing. So the purpose of law is to expose sin. The purpose of law is to reveal what sin is. Okay, let's read Timothy 1, 1 Timothy 1:9 again. Okay, shall we read together? 1, 2, 3. Yes, well, it actually goes on. But anyway, here it says that law was not made for a righteous person. So law was not made for righteous person. Law was made for sinners. Why? Because sinners commit sins, but they don't have awareness of what they are doing. That's why law was given. So the purpose of law is to uncover human sin, to uncover human's rebellion. Shall we go back to Galatians 3:19? Okay. Well, what purpose then the law? And it was added because of transgression. So the reason, well, I said that there are 2 points. First point is law exists because of transgression, because of revealing what sin is. But the second point here is law was added. Law was added means there exists before, right? Before law, there was something. So what exists before law? That's my question. And let's read 3:18. Okay, shall we read together? 1, 2, 3. So here, Paul compares 2 things, law and promise. So what law was added, which means before law there exists something. So what exists before law? Here, as you said, the promise exists. Promise to Abraham existed before law. And promise that is given to Abraham is like, well, God said that I would give offspring and land, right? And for that promise, Abraham did nothing. Just God gave to Abraham that promise without, even though Abraham did nothing, right? So giving promise is just grace. So what was before law? Law was added on something, and law was given on top of promise, which is grace. That means the basis of law is grace. Okay, so think about the Israel history. Israel was delivered from Egypt by grace, and they crossed the Red Sea by grace. And only after that, they received the law. So law and that law did not replace the grace, nor that law did not abolish the grace. Actually, the law was added on top of grace. So Jesus said, if we look at the law, then we can see the grace. But why we can see the grace? Because if we see the grace, if we see the law, then law stand on top of grace. That's why when we see the law, we can see the grace. Okay, so so this is the first theme about the grace. And conclusion is this: we can see grace in the law, and law was founded on the grace. And the story of law is story of God's grace. The story of Aaron and story of Moses is story of grace also. And again, go back to the main question: why Moses' face shines after second 40 days? It is because Moses experienced the grace. Okay, that's the first conclusion. Now, I move to the second theme. As I said, I wanted to unfold my message in terms of two themes. First theme is grace. Second theme is mediator. Okay. Now go back to our main text. Let's think about this. So between the first and second set of tablets, two significant things happened. First one is Moses experienced the God's character, gracious character, and second thing is Moses now stood before God as Israelites' mediator. So second theme is mediator, and these two themes go together. Knowing God's grace and becoming a mediator go together. And I wanted to focus on the second theme from now on. Okay, let's read Exodus 34:1. Okay, let's read 1 to 3. And the Lord said to Moses, cut 2 tablets of stone. So here, Lord said to Moses, cut 2 tablets of tablets of stone. So basically, God asked Moses to prepare the second set of stone tablets. But if you remember the Bible story, for the first step, God prepared Himself. Okay, God prepared the first set of stone tablet Himself. But now He asked Moses to prepare the second set of stone tablets Himself. Why at this time it became God asked Moses to prepare himself? Okay, that's my second question. Some commentators believe that God's commanding Moses to prepare the second set of stone tablets was a punishment of his having broken the first set of stone tablet. But I don't think it emphasizes on the punishment. One of Baptist commentators suggests that this verse is meant to highlight Moses' role of mediator, and I agree with that. Okay, again, if you remember the story of Exodus, in Exodus 24, when covenant was made with God, all the congregation was gathered at the foot of the Mount Sinai. And they said, well, we will do all the words that God has spoken to us. That means all the Israelites were involved in covenant ceremony. But the second time, it was different. Okay, let's read Exodus 34. First, verse 4. Okay, shall we read together? 1, 2, 3. So. So in Exodus chapter 34, verse 4, Moses rose early in the morning and he went up to the Mount Sinai. Okay, so Moses alone went up to the Mount Sinai. And let's read verse 27 together, 1, 2, 3. Then the Lord said to Moses, here God said, I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. Well, as I said, first in chapter 34, verse 10 to verse 27 is a story about renewing the covenant. And verse 27, God finally said, so now I made a covenant again. Okay, verse 29. Okay, so here Moses came down from the Mount Sinai. So uh, everything together, Moses went up alone to the Mount Sinai, and God made a covenant with the Israelites, and then Moses came down from the Mount Sinai. So when God renewed the covenant, there was only Moses. Unlike the first as I said, all the people were gathered and they were involved in covenant ceremony. But this time, only Moses went up, and God made a covenant with Moses and Israelites, and then Moses went down. So this story, this one is clearly shows Moses' role as representative and mediator. So why can only Moses be with God for the second for renewing the covenant? Well, because of human sin, now God and human, there is a separation. So we need a mediator, and God desires to pour out His grace, His love, and His mercy. But now that grace and that blessing can be only delivered through the mediator. Now let's look at Moses' prayer to see Moses' role as a mediator. It's Exodus 33:17. Okay, let's read together. 1, 2, 3. So the Lord said to Moses. Okay, here you have found grace in my sight. You means Moses. So Moses have found grace in my sight, in God's sight, which means Moses received, God assures that Moses, you received the grace from me. Okay, that's what God said. Okay, now let's move to Exodus 34:9. Okay, shall we read together? 1, 2, 3. Then he said, so God assures that Moses received the grace, right? Now Moses take that words and pray here. So if I found grace in your sight, if I have received your grace, then Moses pray for Israelites to God forgive their sins. That's what Moses did. So look at this. First, grace is given to an individual, Moses, and then Moses delivered the grace to the Israelites, right? So grace is given to an individual, and that individual, as a mediator, now convey God's grace to others. That's what the Bible says. Okay, now to understand the Moses' role of mediator, I will introduce one Jewish tradition, Jewish interpretation of Moses breaking the first set of stone tablets. Okay, this is not from Bible. This is from Midrash. It's a Jewish tradition. So we are not sure whether it's true or not. But anyway, imagine this story. A king desires to marry a woman, and he sent his trusted officer with the marriage contract. But when the officer arrived, he discovered that the woman had already been unfaithful. She was with another man. So what did the officer did? What the officer did was to spare her from immediate condemnation. The officer tore up the marriage contract so that the marriage contract is not enacted. Okay, so if marriage contract is still there, then that woman was to condemned, right? But now, because he tore up the marriage contract, she is free. Okay. Now later, the woman sincerely repented, and king chose to forgive her. But this time, however, he asked the officer, prepare a new sheet of paper and bring it to me, then I will sign it. Okay, that's what the Midrash told. So according to this interpretation, Moses broke the first set of stone tablets, not merely out of an angry, but he did it as an act of a mediator. Well, if the first tablet was still there, then all the commandment on the tablet is still effective. That's why Moses broke it. That's the interpretation. Well, I'm not sure whether Moses truly did as a mediator's role or not. But anyway, this just explains the Moses acted as a mediator. So, well, ultimately, this leads to the Jesus Christ. So Moses kind of serves as a model of Jesus Christ. He's breaking the first set of stone tablet and creating a second set of stone tablet as a mediator, serves a model of Jesus Christ. You know, Jesus Christ tears apart the law, and he established this new covenant, right? So this is a model. Moses is a shadow of Jesus Christ. So second conclusion is this. Well, as a person who received the grace, they cannot be just merely keep it. They should be a mediator to convey God's grace to others. Now recall that what Jesus said. Jesus said that the justice, mercy, and faithfulness, they are the weightier matters of law. Which means if you look at the law, you see that law emphasizes on the mercy, right? And as we have seen today, law actually emphasizes grace. And when you read Old Testament carefully, then you can discover the grace of God and shadow of Jesus Christ. So I will conclude my message. So main question, why Moses' face shines? Well, I gave you two reasons. First one, well, it is because Moses truly experienced God's grace. So Moses' face did not shine right after he came down from with the first set of stone tablets, right? Actually, his face was in righteous angry. It is hard to imagine the angry face shines, right? But second time, his face shone after he encountered God's grace. So grace cannot be hidden. It is shown on your face. Second reason why Moses' face shining is because he acted as a mediator. Okay, he carries the heart of a mediator. He did not stop at knowing God's grace, but he prayed for people, and actually he serves as a mediator when a covenant is renewed with God. As I said, where only Moses was there when the covenant was renewed, and because of this, Moses' face shines. So I will conclude my message. So can the worship team come up? So let's look at ourselves. So what is reflected on our face? Okay, is it God's grace, or anger, or worries, or fear? Well, it should be grace, right? But you don't need to be disappointed even though your face does not shine. Okay? We did not talk to God for 40 days face to face, right? But the important thing is this: whatever inside our heart, it is reflected on our face, and whatever it is in our heart that depends on the relationship with God. Let's read one final verse. Not final. Okay, let's read one verse. Exodus 34:29. This is the main text. Can you show? Okay, shall we read it again? 1, 2, 3. Now 이로써 Okay, Moses' face shone because he talked with God. So why the reason why Moses' face shone is because he talked with God. He had relationship with God. So the relationship with God is reflected on Moses' face. And through the relationship, he received the grace. So the God's grace is reflected on Moses' face. Shall we read one more verse? Ecclesiastes 8:1. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So who is like a wise? The only wise person, the wise is God, right? It says that a man's wisdom makes his face shine. So where comes the man's wisdom? Wisdom can be obtained from the wise, from God. So our wisdom can only be obtained from the relationship with God. So if we have a right relationship with God, then our face will shine, and our hardness of face will go away. Okay, let's stand up and let's pray with 2 topics. First, let us pray that we may become those who know God's grace, and let us pray that we may experience His grace more abundantly every day. I pray that all of you become those who deeply experience that grace, just like Moses. And second, let us pray that we can be those who convey God's grace to the world. The world is under sin, and world needs a mediator to convey God's grace. I pray that you have a heart of mediator and become those who fulfill such a role. I pray that also every day your face shines. So let's pray with these 2 topics, calling Jesus 3 times. Jesus. Jesus.